Skipping.
George, Kevin here. Hey, man, I saw Rogue One. Really dug it. Hell of a violent flick, man. I was thinking, dude, there are some Star Wars fans who will take their kids to anything in the name of Star Wars. And, I mean, is that bad parenting or what, dude? I mean, I wouldn't take my kids to it. They're just not ready for that kind of trauma yet, man. But I don't know, man. I'm not the ruler of the world, but some people got to think about what they do before they go dragging their kids and stuff like this. All right, dude. See you then.
End of message.
Busy daddies, busy daddies, busy daddies do sci-fi. Busy daddies, busy daddies, busy daddies do sci-fi. Busy daddies, busy daddies, busy daddies do sci-fi. Busy daddies, busy daddies, busy daddies do sci-fi.
Merry Christmas.
Good evening.
Happy New Year.
Is this our Christmas episode?
Well, it's post Christmas.
It's our Christmas wrap up.
It's our Christmas wrap
Wrap
up.
up.
It's our New
Wrap-
Year's
wrap
wrap
up.
up. It's our wrap up.
Yeah.
It's our best of 2016.
Which is totally not on the outline.
No, it's not.
Did we?
Well,
Damn.
first outline we already blew it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Mm-hmm. Well, we'll do a lot better in 2017, I think. No, clearly not, since it's already 2017.
We're just beginning, folks.
How was your Christmas?
Welcome back. Christmas was wonderful. It was wonderful.
Yeah, mine too.
Mm-hmm.
Mine too. Part of what we did for on Christmas break was we watched like a new Christmas movie every couple of nights. That was a lot of fun. Like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Are you seriously going to talk about Christmas? I just thought we had to say the word Christmas.
All right, no, yeah. Then let's just. All right,
well, you can continue to talk. It's cute because all I want to hear about is Christmas.
You know what's great about Christmas now, Kevin? is that in addition to looking forward to just Christmas and family and cheery movies like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer,
that's not on the script,
and Jack. If this keeps working, we are going to have a new Star Wars movie every Christmas.
How many are coming?
On the pipe right now are at least...
Is that an industry term?
Episodes... No, industry term would be in the pipe. Right now, I say on the pipe. Some people say in the pipe. I say on it. We got episodes 8 and 9 that are, going to come out. We've got a Han Solo pick, a Boba Fett movie.
Will Han Solo be a...
He's already been cast. It's a younger actor. It's a prequel. It's Han Solo, like the younger years.
Is there a Boba Fett one too?
There's a Boba Fett one in the works. Yeah.
Should we... Listener, by the way, we know some of you cringe at the idea that Star Wars is science fiction.
I think less than we think.
Wasn't this the Reddit people?
A Reddit person.
It becomes people. The internet. My esteem is so low.
Yeah.
That Solo.
Full circle.
Yeah.
No.
Full circle. We're back to a Star Wars episode.
Back to it.
Because it doesn't matter.
This was a new experiment, though, as far as Star Wars goes. This is Rogue One, a Star Wars story,
which I thought was unnecessary.
I like that. Though it's not. It's because this is why it's the experiment. Will people watch Star Wars if it's divorced from the Skywalker narrative? Like this is removed from the typical. There's no Luke. There's no Han. There's no Darth Vader. Well, there is Darth Vader. That's not true. But it's separate from the characters and the story that we're used to seeing. And it was like, all right, well, are people going to still be interested if we just toss them a whole bunch of people and it's not like, there's Darth when he was younger, and there's Obi-Wan when he was younger too. Like, brand new group of characters from the same universe.
Not so much from this movie, though. We are going to talk about Rogue One.
We are.
We spoil it, so you should probably stop and watch it. If you haven't watched it, I know you're probably just waiting for it to come into the $2 theater. But, first of all, I watched Empire recently and realized that they name a Rogue 2 and a Rogue 3, and they don't ever name a Rogue One when the snow speeders are fighting the AT-ATs. And I wondered if there's sort of some myth or legend in the Rebel Alliance where you can't name anything Rogue One because that was the first.
That is interesting. I had not caught that. I recently also took the trip on Star Wars, Empire, and Return of the Jedi. We saw Jack is 4, and he's got a new expressed interest in Star Wars. A lot of this stuff still goes over his head, and we talked a little bit about that earlier today. So we sat down and he watched Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back, and he was able to kind of just marvel at Darth Vader and stormtroopers walking around and everything. And that led to, after I had already seen Rogue One, just take him to go see Rogue One. And he went and saw it, and he loved it.
Well, we are busy daddies, as you know, listener.
Title.
Do we talk about listeners now? Is it confirmed?
It's confirmed that there's at least more than one
listener.
Well, there's someone in the same room when he's listening. So.
Listeners.
Hey,
our producer Vic states that we have to talk about this busy daddy thing, and
we got to keep it in context because it's the name of the thing. We have to talk about our children because they give us so much joy around the holidays.
What was the ultimate bachelor man kicking ass and talking sci-fi? Was that the
that's another podcast, and they do a lot better than we do.
Those guys they're studs.
They're studs.
But my boy, we recently watched Empire, and he liked it, and we watched Jedi while we were away on our Christmas trip, and he didn't finish it. He got bored with it after like the Jabba scene. But granted, there are other things on his mind. He likes to play games much more than do anything else, like food, or he'll play games over ice cream or anything like that. And there were games on his mind, but by Ewok and 3PO becoming a god, he just, it was like done. And for me, I felt the same way. I was like, I had to get through that stuff. The whole Jabba retribution plan. That's great. And then in the rescue. But once we Ewoked, I was just like, we have to go through this to watch Luke face Vader.
I loved it,
and
I still do. I love because it's a separation. You've got basically the resolution of Empire Strikes Back in the beginning of the movie. You've got the whole getting Han. Are we reviewing Return of the Jedi here? What do we do?
No, this is Vic making us talk about things our kids do in the world of sci-fi. We're also busy, and we have to work tomorrow, so we're going to move on with it.
You have to work tomorrow. I've got to watch my kids.
You were a homemaker, man. You were a homemaker, and some would say that job is more important than us to go to work.
I would say that.
But you would. But then the people who go to work bring back the money, so you can do that.
But I get to spend the money, Kevin. All
I
right?
know.
By doing things like, furnishing us with this seltzer and ice cream that we're eating right now. Thank you, Vic. That was Vivid Vanilla ice cream.
Vivid Vanilla. You had to say that, too. Where was the cake from?
Vaughn's.
That was a Vaughn's cake?
That
tasted like a Whole Foods cake.
Oh, that was a good cake. Fudge frosting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So all this to say that clearly we took the ride on Rogue One not too long after it came out, and I don't think we can really talk about Rogue One without talking about Carrie Fisher a little bit, because one of the big spoilers of that movie is 1977 Princess Leia is in there. She shows up.
Looking a little pink and puffy, but nonetheless
A little plasticky.
But
yeah.
fine. But I didn't need it.
No, it didn't.
I didn't need it.
Didn't take me so much out of it. I told you Allison saw it when that scene came on, before Carrie Fisher even died.
We
my
saw
wife,
it the day after Carrie Fisher died.
That was probably powerful.
touching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But my wife got pretty emotional when she says the word hope.
Don't
And
they all? Don't
women
they all?
in
Women,
general? What are we doing
yeah.
here?
Oh! I thought you were gonna. You kind of threw me under the bus.
No.
One.
I think you threw yourself under the bus there, Pally.
Oh, we could have gone together through the misogyny.
Speaking of Carrie Fisher, sadly she was not wearing the Jabba the Hutt bikini. Am I right, man?
Hey, I don't know why they didn't have her wearing that.
Why
bro.
wasn't it? It would have been so great.
Yeah.
Completely out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so
That outfit is full of hope. You know what I'm
Princess.
saying?
New
You know
hope.
what I'm saying?
Princess Leia shows up at the end of the movie. One thing I did not, I knew at some point, I knew this movie took place before Star Wars. I didn't know it takes place minutes. Like, it ends minutes before
I kind of
Star
thought
Wars
they might
began.
butt up to
I didn't
that.
think they'd do that. I didn't think they'd butt them together that close. Where it was literally like, oh, there's the fucking ship. There's the ship. The next scene is Darth Vader in his Star Destroyer chasing down that ship and going on there. And so needless to say, I enjoyed the hell out of the movie. I thought it was kind of a perfect universe moment having Carrie Fisher show up the way she did in this movie, and then a couple days later have her pass away.
Yeah.
You know, it was just kind of like,
Because 2016 is an evil year.
that was a bandwagon I was not jumping on,
can't stand
and I
that.
can't.
Don't take Bowie from me. Don't take Prince from me.
Yeah, right.
I need to tell you about it.
But when you do,
Now
when you
God,
look back at this year, so many talented, amazing artists did die. I mean, it is.
That's because the godless heathens assign power to things like years. Yeah, one of the most annoying things of my 2016 was all you people talking about how 2016 was so bad to you.
Aw.
Yeah.
And I'm sure 2017 is going to be amazing for him.
Well, I hope someone doesn't die that we like, because then the years that
I saw a post
Thank
that
you
came
for the
out.
babyfication of my fucking
I saw
life.
somebody put on Facebook a photo of the Kardashians and Kanye West, and it said 2016. There's still some time left for these people. So these guys are wishing that 2016 will kill people that they want dead.
Yeah.
Because it's taken so many other. It's taken so many people.
I mean, what are these people going to do, dude? We still have to see. I mean, you name it. We got to watch Bob Dylan go.
Mark,
what are we going to do?
Mark Hamill,
then?
dude. Mark Hamill.
What are we going to do?
Will die
Mark,
one
I
day.
mean, come on. Yeah, just wow, it's really weird. I'm about 40, and my heroes are turning 60 and 70 and 80. And,
people
oh,
I grew
man,
up
it's,
with
oh, my God.
dying.
It's like, oh, jeez.
Can you
Yeah.
believe, Kevin, that most of these people also, riddled their body with drugs and alcohol for years too, and might incur a death a little earlier than perhaps some people.
2016 doesn't care about that.
Yeah,
The
2016.
year's just
man.
coming after you, man.
Oh,
Isn't
Carrie
it all
Fisher.
time?
Carrie Fisher was a hell of a comedian too. That was one thing that I think kind of slips past a lot of people with the nerd love for Princess Leia, was that she was a script doctor in Hollywood for years and did some pretty funny stuff. And yeah, it sucks. It sucks to see her go, especially considering there are 2 Star Wars movies that she's supposed to be in as Princess Leia.
As evidenced by what's his name, Tarkin. Leia's going to be there.
Governor Tarkin is a CGI motion capture character in Rogue One, accomplished via a British actor who looks a lot like Peter Cushing. Peter Cushing died in 1994, and he is in this movie in full form, and kind of, I thought, impressively so. Like, I thought they pulled it off. Like, he looks and sounds
It works.
Like
I don't
Tarkin,
need to
man.
be. I don't need to be splitting hairs over that.
No.
I mean,
I mean,
suspending belief.
you at no point does he blend into the other actors. I mean, it is distracting on some level.
I didn't notice that.
I did. I totally did.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that's I think that's just, you're looking at one real actor and you're looking at one that is clearly computer generated. I'm not saying it's to the detriment of the movie, but it's distracting. It is.
I'm looking at George and I'm going, here we go again. Here we go again.
Let me ask you something, Kevin. All right, you like heavy metal, right?
Yeah.
You like hard music.
Yeah.
Right? What's your favorite heavy metal band?
I don't know. What's the point?
All right, the point is, if there's a shitty album that comes out from one of your favorite heavy metal artists, all right, it would probably affect you more than it would affect me, right?
Yes.
You'd probably find some more stock in that, you know?
Let's call that the album after Metallica's Black Album. Okay, yes.
So every
Load.
album after... Is that the one with the hey, hey, hey song that came out in the 90s?
I think, yes.
Imagine that when he
I
cut his
blacked it all
hair.
out.
Man.
Yeah.
And Lars Ulrich became anti-Napster.
But keep going. Keep
But
going.
all right, no. So when I go see a Star Wars movie,
Yeah.
all right, and there are things in that movie. Now, look, I loved Rogue One, but there are things about it. It's not a flawless movie by any means. So there are things about that movie that make me go, all right, it was good, but it wasn't a great Star Wars movie. You know.
Oh my God! You haven't told me this. We haven't talked much about this.
That's
we did
okay,
it.
yeah.
We
Yeah.
sketched out a little bit of where we'd go on this one.
Yeah.
So, how much can it add to your Star Wars experience then?
It did something beautiful.
It did. I've never
something
stopped
beautiful.
to think about how the plans for the Death Star were acquired, and it was a joyride.
I will
It was
add.
fun.
Let me add to that. Okay.
Go.
There is a debate Star Wars fans have been having for decades.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? How is it possible that this massive empire built this incredible super weapon and they have a flaw in it that this little rebel group could find and exploit? It's so stupid. And now we are given this character, Jyn Erso's father, who builds this Death Star. His mentality basically is like, look, they were going to build this with or without me.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm going to build it, I'm going to build it while also working for the Rebel Alliance. And I'm building a defect into it. And this is what it is. So
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful, and it adds to the Star Wars mythology in a way that that had not been done in a very long time. You know, like, I would say the prequels, they tried to add to the Star Wars mythology, but it kind of just came across as like mishmashed, and nothing really made sense, and it was a whole lot of fan service and callbacks and things like that. This actually added to the overall story, and I thought that was awesome, man.
When we see Darth Vader in his cool little satanic temple thing, is that lava-y planet where we watch Anakin on the Sith? Is that where he
apparently
starts
supposed
living?
to be Mustafar, where he had his fight with Obi-Wan.
When he gets burned up and stuff. I thought so.
Yeah, which I thought which is another thing it adds to it. We'd never seen like Darth Vader's home before, or even see that he has like kind of like zealots who are in service to him. They're in cloaks and everything, and that was cool as well. Very cool stuff.
Oh yeah, he's like a dark prince, man.
Yeah.
Well, in this movie, we watch these plans get handed off, and we watch everyone who helped these plans get in the right hands die. And my brother said that wasn't a very Star Warsy ending
because everyone
because of the
dies?
full annihilation that we watched, and he was at odds with it in a way of like, I'm used to something a little lighter.
I loved it.
Right?
I loved that everybody died.
Well, I did too. I was able to get it.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the cost of war.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the cost of freedom. And then so we're riffing on what that does then. So it might not be very Star Warsy because of why you loved it, why I loved it, which was, it's sand blowing up on the beach, people dying, and when I watched it, the preview for Dunkirk came on, and that was sand on the beach, blowing up, people dying, and the echoes of all good war movies and what they do, what the takeaway of a war movie is, and their legacy that's built upon. Star Wars Rogue One enters into this. I wondered if it was deliberate that the final battle that is on a place where it could have been Normandy. It was a beach.
It's a tropical.
That was being
there's
stormed.
a beach that's being stormed. It's very. Star Wars has always been about those kind of extreme settings. The ice planet,
right? Well, there
the
was
forest world. So we had now like the beach, the tropical, but very, very appropriate for that type of siege in your face kind of. There's even like soldiers jumping off of carriers, screaming things like "For Jeddah," like stuff we've never seen before in Star Wars movies. This is one thing, like that third act of this movie was spotless. Like it was, well, I thought flawless.
So here's the deal. So,
but to get there, we meandered a bit.
Whose backs did? Who did the Star Wars? Did J.J. Abrams?
No, this was Gareth Edwards.
Gareth Edwards.
Gareth
Edwards.
Geth.
Whose backs did he stand on? How prepared were we to feel Rogue One like we did, thanks to Saving Private Ryan, Full Metal Jacket, Apocalypse Now, and had buttons already been pressed in us?
Yeah.
So that when we see this, and this is the Star Warsy or not thing.
Right.
To watch A New Hope, I don't really care about the cost of lives. Right?
Yeah.
It's not applicable. You don't have to think about it.
There's a trade-off, though. You care less about the characters in this movie than you do about the characters in A New Hope, though. You are not given those moments with these characters to shape them fully in your heart. That's how I feel.
Well, but what I'm saying is...
It doesn't change that, like, when a grenade is thrown into the ship and the Imperial pilot in Rogue One gets blown up, you don't feel something. Or that they're not given those beautiful spaces to affect you in some way. But, like, they're not grounded in the same way Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia,
I'm not talking
Chewbacca.
about whether we lose Skywalker or the main characters.
Okay.
I'm talking about Star Wars, in quotes, or the Star Warsiness does this story on a level which is not so true grit, in your face, the body with sand on it kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I have to ask, as we get deeper into this, is it what the independent director can do and run with now and make statements about? What the strongest statement of A New Hope was maybe the Nazi look, probably, and of the Empire.
What do you mean by strongest, though? Because that was
strongest political statement.
Okay,
1977,
yeah.
And so on the backs of many other good war movies, when we get to Rogue One and its rebellion, and what we're paying, what am I supposed to take away? And I'll say it like this:
You've articulated something here that's beautiful. Actually,
if a rebel walked into Jeddah, where there were stormtroopers occupying it, with a suicide bomb strapped to him, and he blew some stormtroopers up, and he killed some civilians around it, and we cheered for it. What have we cheered for in the real world? And who is the bad guy?
Right.
And that's what it made me think about.
This is why I think that framing a Star Wars story is important, because these are tales that we can't tell in that same kind of sanitary hero's journey universe. This movie starts off, it introduces us to a character who shoots a man in the back after he gets the information he needs from him. Kind of like, that's why I put on our outline Dirty Dozen, you know, because it reminded me of like a ragtag group that will do whatever they need to do. It's not all cheery, and we don't really need to know who these characters are in order to know we're rooting for them. They're going to do some grimy shit, but there's a goal. You know what I mean? Like, there is
I get it. I didn't even flinch when he shot that guy. It was like clear that dude had an arm injury. He wasn't getting out of there. You trim the dead weight.
You're a rebel.
This is murky.
Yeah.
I need to live and get this information through. You're shot, dude.
Yeah.
I'm not going to have you whine and grab my ankle when I'm trying to climb out of someplace because you got an arm that's hurt.
Right.
I get the gravity of the situation. Just something about the echoes of what war movies do and the morality that's fleshed out by them. I mean, would you say most war movies, the biggies of the last 30 years, who looks like the bad guy?
That's what makes, I think, great war movies, is that they're you can see, like, you know, I think of movies like The Thin Red Line, where, you know, the Japanese soldiers look equally as heroic as the American soldiers. You know, TV series like The Pacific, where we see American troops playfully shooting a Japanese soldier who's trying to run in either direction, letting him know, you're not going anywhere. You know, they're torturing him. You know, and you play with that morality so that we're left with, I don't know. There are certain archetypes in this movie, though. And there's certainly, like, the evil.
The bad guy,
yeah.
And the question I ask is war.
Krennic.
Not the individual in the takeaway of these decades of war movies. It's always war that's indicted, that makes men act against morality. Shoot the guy who can't get out, torture people, throw flamethrowers into tunnels, whatever it might be, right? Wear body parts, whatever, take it to the extremes. And I guess that was not new and interesting to me. I loved the story, but once I started getting into the battle and the let's do this for Jeddah, that was I remember feeling a switch in the movie, and I go, this is when we go to war.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I know the plans are getting there.
Yeah. So
now I've just got to watch another director
and
take me to a place that I think I've been to a lot.
I gotcha.
That's just me having that. That doesn't mean I'd love the movie.
I disagree.
It was great. It was totally cool. It might be better than Force Awakens. It was way more fascinating.
I disagree with that.
And I don't need
but that's fine. That's fine. That's just I thought from a story and character standpoint, Force Awakens had, Daisy Ridley, whatever the hell, one-dimensional character or not, rip off of Episode 4 or not. There's charisma there. That I thought Felicity Jones in this movie was kind of like bleh.
Is that Felicity Jones? She's our lead character?
Yeah. She didn't do anything. She could have been any. She could have been any brunette actress, I felt like.
Now it's funny you say that, because she is any brunette actress to me, and she served her purpose. I don't know the names enough. I
want that. I want to care about her. I want enough. I didn't really I thought her. I don't know. Her story was so just kind of there. Now, why are we... nothing seemed earned about it. You know, she's going to find Forrest Whitaker. Oh, which, by the way, what'd you think of...
I like Forrest Whitaker, man. You're back, man. Crying Game Forrest Whitaker, I'm back with you, man.
I like Forrest Whitaker a lot.
I don't know what you were doing in between there, man. You know what? It was The Shield. I watched him on The Shield, and it sickened me to watch him. He took it to a place where he was real sleazy, and I think it kind of left a taste in my mouth, man. But in The Shield, you get a lot of Forrest Whitaker, and that's where I was like...
I almost saw like a little bit of a veiled Darth Vader kind of thing they were doing with him. Like, he had robotic legs, he had a breathing problem. They talk about how he's so militant that the Rebel Alliance doesn't really like dealing with him.
Well, and there's your suicide bombers.
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah, he's a little too much for them. Like, they're still trying to keep their hands a little clean. Maybe we're a little bit more about diplomacy. Mon Mothma, who's the redhead in the... Oh, and that brings up a whole other thing. This movie had tons of fan callbacks to previous movies. Some of them were fantastic, and some of them were like, hey, look at us, we're Star Wars. You know, like Mon Mothma, the redhead, who's in charge of the Rebel Alliance. She's also in Return of the Jedi, as much older. Mm-hmm. General Dodonna, who's
the bearded
gray hair with a beard, who's in A New Hope.
Yep.
Bail Organa, who's Leia's adopted father. Jimmy Smits plays him in this movie and also played him in the prequels.
Oh, yeah.
And at one point, he talks about getting in touch with a Jedi that he knows.
Who is that? Who's the Jedi?
Obi-Wan.
He knows Obi-Wan.
He knows Obi-Wan. He says he served me well in the Clone Wars. And they say, well, who's ever getting him this message, have it be someone you trust. And he says, I'd trust her with my life. And he's talking about his daughter, Leia, who would later record Obi-Wan Kenobi, You're My Only Hope, you know. Mm-hmm. But even more brilliant and subtle were, like, Red 5, Red 1, the X-Wing pilots, are CGI versions of the pilots from A New Hope.
I really liked how they used the same filming thing where it was like...
Right, yeah. It was like a little jarring.
The cockpit just kind of floating strangely like in a set.
Yeah.
That worked really well. Who was... I wanted to know more about Forrest Whitaker's right-hand man. That weird kind of droid fucking skin dude with the antennas and that. He was hardcore, man.
We've seen that breed of alien before in Jabba's palace, but never
silver
that character.
Eyes.
Which, by the way, you'll also get a quick callback on that planet on Jeddah.
Wrecked, though.
We see... Well, no, not even that. We see the statue. But we get Dr. Evazin and Ponda Baba, who are the two guys who come up to Luke in the Mos Eisley Cantina and start trouble with him.
Oh, yes.
Really quickly.
You see them. That was cool.
They were, I liked that.
What was Jabba's planet?
That was Tatooine.
Because there was similar structures that looked like Jabba's big round palace.
Yeah, they looked...
I loved how there was a temple aspect. A Jedi temple on Jeddah, right?
Which is where the Kyber crystals... And that's the first time that's been confirmed in Star Wars movies, because Kyber crystals have long been around outside of Star Wars movies as the power sources of lightsabers. And now it's finally like, yes, that's what they are. There's a whole group of people who see it as their job to protect those crystals, and that's where we get two of my favorite characters in the movie, Stickman and Big Gun Man.
Stickman and Big Gun Man were great,
man. They are so fantastic, and probably have the best death scenes out of anyone, I think, in the movie. Like, I mean, as somebody who's a junkie for this type of stuff, having a guy walk through blaster fire chanting, you know, I am one with the Force and the Force is with me, I'm just a sucker for it. Like, I get sucked in, you know, so.
Yep.
But yeah, and, I mean, so other than that, it really kind of, I would say it added to the Star Wars experience by being the type of movie that we have not experienced in that universe before. We talked a little bit about this earlier. I felt like this was the first Star Wars movie where the action set pieces stand out more than anything else in the movie. Like, I remember...
What is that?
Well, I mean, just the battles and the whole third act, which is essentially a battle, is the most memorable thing about this movie. You know?
Yeah.
When I go back to A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, the things that stand out for me are the character moments. Luke outside of his, farm, looking at the twin suns setting. You know, I am your father. Those big moments. You know, this movie had like the ship ramming into the Star Destroyer, pushing it into the shield.
Yeah.
You know, like it had more like, that's really cool. That's Star Wars. You know, that's
and that's in the line of things. That's a case for not Star Warsy.
Yes,
and it's not like we're going to control this or not. I enjoyed it, but it's a new type of movie.
Yeah.
The character stuff.
It's a
I
Star
wonder
Wars
if it
story,
can be called back.
You know?
I don't recall Force Awakens enough to know if you had to count character moments versus set piece moments. More character moments.
If we're talking about characters, Force Awakens,
right? Ren stabbing Solo, and I
mean, just the fact that you had characters as strong as Finn, Rey, Kylo Ren, even BB-8. The biggest character in this movie is, I feel like, K2SO, the droid.
Oh, and he was fun.
He's fantastic. You know, like, funny. Like, I love that moment where she shoots an Imperial droid, and you think for a second it's him, and he's behind her, and he's just like, did you know that wasn't me?
Yeah.
Like, he added a lot of weight to this movie. But they all had, like, here's that cool thing they do. And then that was it. You know, like, I don't remember most of these guys' names. You know, and that's pretty not typical. That's not very typical for me. And that shows, like, more than anything, it's like, I didn't really care about any of these people tremendously.
And we will see if that's the button that's pressed.
Yeah.
Over and over now. The cynical eye that I'm trying to show is, though we enjoyed it, the cynical viewpoint is, if this wasn't Star Wars, if this was...
Dead on. You're right. That's it.
If this was... I don't know if it was Palestinians.
Right.
Trying to find a way to take down a large chunk of the wall in Israel. What would this do?
Can't believe you just went there. But...
You can't? Well, the Palestinians couldn't believe that the British went there back in 61, I think it was. But hey,
we're not taking any sides in this very old conflict here.
Yes.
But you know who's right.
But yes. Yes!
Now, here's where I go with this. If this movie is not connected to Star Wars, does it stand up? Like, is this still a good movie, or am I going, this is a good movie because Death Star, AT-AT, Stormtroopers, well, how much of that is just like,
that's,
I'm
still riffing on, I think Star Wars speaks for itself. The mechanics of the story, is it a pretty good plans heist?
It's a good team. That's one thing. Like, it's a good team movie, and it's a cool idea. But in and of itself, like, you separate this from the Star Wars universe, and I'm watching 6 guys jump on a ship and go.
And you're watching a director say something about the
state of the world, yeah.
And that is not Star Warsy.
Yeah.
Like I said, the New Hope, I believe, you could probably tell me, was it conscious that Lucas made the Empire have the Nazi-ish uniform?
Certainly, yes.
Cool. Yeah. And that's about as far as we go, as far as any of us can understand about maybe those 3 movies even.
Yeah.
Right? And just sort of a flourish, I think is the word, with that uniform choice. Whereas we might watch now Star Wars be used? Would that be the word? To let people say things, especially in the state of the way things are right now. Terror, like I said, the suicide bomber.
True.
We'll see. We'll find out.
No, and here's the thing: is I think that this type of experiment might be short lived based on where they're now going with these movies, because the next movie is going to be a Han Solo.
It's not.
movie.
We don't get to see Luke Skywalker standing on the hill.
No, that will be. But the next a Star Wars movie, a
Right.
Star Wars story, will be the.
And will there be different directors each time? Is that?
Yes, yeah. There's a
Okay.
different director. J.J. Abrams isn't doing Episode 8.
There you go.
Ryan Johnson is.
Folks, we are at bddsci-fi@gmail.com. If you want to write in and let us know what you think of Palestine or Apocalypse Now or Nazis. Sorry. We'll have to re-record that.
Don't write in. Don't write in and tell us what you think of Palestine. And
bddsci-fi@gmail.com.
yeah, and
folks.
if you want to hit us
Reach
up on
out.
Instagram, we're always tossing out some funny stuff too. We're at BDD Sci-Fi on Instagram, and
And BDV8. What's that guy's name from the cute little ball that you can buy at
K2SO?
Target?
Oh, BB-8.
BB8.
BB-8.
I
He
love
is cute,
Target.
man.
Thank you, Target.
Thank you, Target. Thank
And
you for the
Reddit.
seltzer, and thank you, Reddit.
And New York Seltzer. And Vic.
New York seltzer.
Is it? What are we drinking?
What are we drinking
What
here?
is Vic? No, he gets
We're
that
drinking
stuff from the
Crystal
Safeway
Geyser,
knockoff.
man. This
Crystal
stuff
Geyser.
is-
Kyber Crystal Geyser.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm here
Bottled
for,
on
George.
Jetta.
For Jetta.
For
Jetta.
Jetta.
Hey!
Oh, bum.